Let's cut through the noise and get to the truth. Shedeur Sanders just broke the system. Not broke into it. Not broke through it. He broke it. Cracked the code. Flipped the table. Left the old rulebook in ashes. And now, NFL executives, marketing directors, and front office dinosaurs are pacing around in expensive suits, realizing they've just witnessed a power shift they cannot control. Because this isn't just some promising quarterback with preseason hype. This isn't just another Nike deal. This is a revolution, and it's wearing number 5 in Cleveland. And it all starts with one jaw-dropping, headline-dominating number, $250 million in jersey sales as a rookie.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Let that sink in. A 5th-round rookie, not a number 1 pick, not a Heisman winner, just sold $250 million worth of jerseys before even starting an NFL game. And not because of some lucky viral moment, but because of a calculated, long-game, generational shift in how athletes do business. And at the center of it all, the most controversial contract clause since fully guaranteed money became a thing. Prime equity. A clause that gives Shedeur a percentage of everything tied to his name, image, and likeness. Jerseys, merch, appearances, branded content, commercials, sneaker drops, you name it. It's not a contract. It's a partnership. Nike doesn't just sponsor Shedeur Sanders. They're in business with him. And that single move, that subtle but seismic adjustment, it's sending shockwaves through the NFL's deepest, most ironclad institutions. Because if a 5th-round rookie can build a brand this powerful, this fast, what does that mean for everyone else? Let's be clear, this wasn't supposed to happen. Shedeur was supposed to be a project, a backup, someone who learns behind the scenes, makes his money the old-fashioned way, by grinding for 3 years, throwing a few decent games, maybe landing a mid-tier endorsement if everything goes right. But instead, he turned his rookie contract, worth less than $5 million, into a footnote next to a $250 million merchandising empire. Oh, and that Nike endorsement extension everyone's whispering about? Yeah, that could push his off-field income well past $100 million by the end of the season. As a backup, let that mess with your head for a second. The NFL, the most rigid hierarchical, earn it with blood and silence league in professional sports, now has a 5th-round rookie who's already out-earned 80% of the league, all because he refused to play by the old rules. And the league? They don't know whether to celebrate it or shut it down. Behind the scenes, league officials are scrambling. There are quiet meetings happening in Manhattan skyscrapers. Lawyers reading through CBA fine print. Player personnel departments whispering about the Shedeur effect, like it's a glitch in the Matrix. Because here's the existential question now echoing through every team's front office. What happens when the player has more leverage than the franchise? Shedeur isn't waiting for legacy to build his brand. He is the brand. And Nike? They're not sponsoring talent. They're buying influence. Think about it. This is the same company that built Jordan into an empire. That elevated LeBron from high school phenom to global icon. And now, they're betting the next decade of their strategy on a rookie quarterback from Colorado with a last name that already echoes through sports history. They're not just making shoes. They're manufacturing culture. And Shedeur is their next big product. But what makes this different, dangerously different, is how fast it's all moving. He's not becoming a cultural icon. He already is one. His face is on billboards. His highlights are cut into TikTok montages with millions of views. His post-game outfits are being broken down by fashion influencers. Kids aren't just buying his jersey. They're asking when the next colorway drops. He's not just playing football. He's running a business. And that right there is what has the old guard shaking in their cleats. Because for the first time in NFL history, the balance of power is tipping toward the player. And not just because of talent, but because of brand. For decades, teams owned the narrative. They controlled the cameras, the talking points, the locker room access. The only thing players owned was their performance on the field. But now, Shedeur controls the merch. He controls the camera angles. He controls the narrative. He even has equity in the content that's being produced about him. He's not waiting for ESPN to frame his story. He's uploading it himself. And the NFL? They weren't ready. Because this is no longer just about sports. This is cultural territory. This is music, fashion, identity, attitude. This is the merging of everything the NFL has always tried to keep separate, brand and ball. And Shedeur is thriving in the chaos. He was built for it. Raised in front of cameras. Mentored by a marketing genius who also happens to be a Hall of Famer. Surrounded by athletes and artists and moguls since childhood. The spotlight doesn't burn him, it charges him. But let's not pretend it's all smooth sailing. There are already whispers. He's too Hollywood. Is he really focused on football? What if he gets hurt? There are media vultures circling every misstep. Every time he shows up in a custom suit instead of a team hoodie, they pounce. The pressure is real. Because when you're making more money off the field than your entire rookie class combined, the margin for error disappears. Every throw gets magnified. Every decision gets politicized. Every injury gets overanalyzed. But Shedeur? He knows what's at stake. That's why the prime equity clause exists in the first place. It's not just a smart business move, it's a philosophy. One that says, if you're going to sell my name, you're going to pay me like a partner, not a pawn. It's radical. It's disruptive. And it's already rewriting how rookies approach negotiations. You think this is the last prime equity clause we're going to see? No chance. By next year's draft, agents are going to demand it. And if a league doesn't adapt, they risk losing the next generation of stars to other platforms, to other sports, to other leagues. Because Gen Z athletes don't just want salaries, they want stake. They want control. They want to co-own their value. And Shedeur just proved, at 21 years old, that it's possible. So yeah, the executives are in crisis. They should be. Because the playbook has changed. No more controlling the narrative. No more boxing athletes into wait-your-turn mentalities. No more pretending the business side doesn't matter. Because the next Shedeur, he's already watching. Already building his following. Already designing his logo. And the next team that tries to treat him like just another player, they'll be left behind. So where does this go? If Shedeur stays healthy, if he plays well enough to keep the hype machine running, this entire business model becomes the new gold standard. Players as partners, teams as platforms, brands as collaborators. The NFL will either evolve or become a spectator in its own show. And if Shedeur stumbles, if the pressure gets to him or injuries slow him down, he still walks away with a cultural footprint most athletes never reach. He's already made history. Because this isn't just a story about a rookie deal or a sneaker drop. This is the moment the balance of power shifted. And Shedeur Sanders? He didn't just take the spotlight. He owns it. Comment below. Is Shedeur's deal the future of sports or a branding bubble waiting to pop? And don't forget to subscribe. Because whatever happens next, one thing is clear. This isn't just football anymore. It's business. And Shedeur Sanders is the blueprint. They've completely lost control of the narrative. Because when a fifth-round rookie is not only the most talked-about player in the league, but also the highest-paid rookie endorser in history, you can bet there's panic in the power structure. And it's not just about the money. Although, let's be real, $250 million in jersey sales isn't just a big number. It's a warhead dropped on the traditional hierarchy. This isn't just a fluke. It's not just a hot rookie moment. It's a business model now. One that threatens to make every dusty contract clause and outdated negotiation tactic obsolete. Because here's the scariest part for executives, old-school GMs, and team lawyers who like to believe they still run the show. Shedeur Sanders isn't chasing the NFL dream. He's redefining it. He didn't come in hoping to earn his spot quietly and get a modest endorsement 3 years down the road if the stars aligned. He came in as a brand, as a boardroom presence, as a partner in profit. And the people who still cling to the idea that rookies are supposed to shut up, fall in line, and prove themselves the hard way, They're watching their entire philosophy get vaporized in real time. Because the league has never seen this before. Not like this. They've had flashy rookies. Sure. They've had charismatic stars. Definitely. They've even had players with big early endorsement deals. Zion, LeBron, Mahomes. But Shedeur? He's in a category of his own. He's a rookie who didn't just get a Nike deal. He structured one. He helped design it. He's profiting from every layer of it. From jersey sales, to viral content, to Nike's new tech-driven sneaker rollout that's being beta tested with his face on it. And he did it without needing a Super Bowl ring. He did it without a playoff berth. He did it before ever taking a regular season snap. And that's when everything changed. Because this model doesn't rely on production. It relies on presence. He became a cultural touchpoint, a style reference, a conversation starter. And now, executives are sitting in uncomfortable meetings, getting grilled by owners who just learned their fifth-round QB's jersey didn't move 2,000 units, it moved 2 million in a week. And it's only getting louder. Because Nike? They're not hiding. They're doubling down. The custom shoe line is just the beginning. The Sanders PR1Me apparel line is already being mocked up for global release. Collaborations with TikTok influencers, Twitch streamers, and streetwear icons are in the works. This isn't marketing. It's a movement. And the league? Well, it's realizing far too late that it has no idea how to contain it. They built the machine, sure, but they never expected one player to get the keys this early. Now, let's talk about prime equity. The crown jewel of Shedeur's deal. The line of text that's keeping agents awake at night and team attorneys chugging coffee like it's their last meal. A clause that gives him ownership, real, financial, contractual ownership, over every dollar that moves when his name is attached to it. You want to sell his jersey? Cool. He gets a cut. You want to run a hype video with his highlights? Better check the contract. You want to stick his face on a stadium banner, on a water bottle, on a virtual ad during a broadcast? There's a royalty rate. He is no longer a product. He's the vendor. And that changes everything. Because if Shedeur can demand that level of autonomy as a rookie, then every other athlete, especially the ones with any kind of social following, is going to start asking, where's my cut? And that question? It's a landmine. Because the NFL has always worked on the illusion of control. That once a player signs the dotted line, he becomes a team asset. That his face, his name, his identity are now part of the brand, but not the brand itself. But Shedeur tore the curtain down. Now, players are realizing they don't have to wait until they're all pros to get leverage. They don't need a ring to be relevant. They just need a story. And Shedeur proved that story can out-earn the contract by tenfold. And here's the next phase no one's ready for. What happens when Shedeur plays well? He's already winning off the field. That's locked in. But if he starts winning on it? If he throws for 300 yards under the lights on Sunday Night Football, or leads a comeback win in Week 4, or drops a dime in the red zone that ends up on every highlight show from Cleveland to Cairo, forget it. Game over. Because then, the business and the football align. Then, the critics don't have legs to stand on. Then, the he hasn't earned it crowd disappears into their burner accounts. Then, the model becomes the standard. And Nike knows this. That's why they're investing like this isn't just about sports. Because it isn't. This is about being first. First to identify a generational brand. First to own the lane before Adidas or Under Armour or Jordan Brand could get a foot in. First to say, this guy isn't a quarterback. He's a cultural currency. And they're betting big that his rise will transform how companies deal with athletes, not as employees, but as equity-holding partners with vision, voice, and value. Of course, there are haters. There always are. Pundits who say he's too focused on image. Critics who say his brand distracts from his play. The usual back-in-my-day crowd clutching their clipboards and yelling about humility while privately emailing their PR teams asking how to book him for a podcast. But that criticism? It's noise. Because, at the end of the day, results matter. And so far, every move Shedeur has made, on and off the field, has hit. He didn't just show up and cash checks. He studied the system, learned the locker room dynamics, earned the respect of teammates who expected him to be all flash, and instead saw a kid who actually wants it. And not just for the brand, for the ball. He still has to prove it on the scoreboard. That's the final piece. But make no mistake, he knows that. And unlike most rookies, his performance isn't driven by fear. It's driven by belief. Belief in the plan. Belief in the vision. Belief in himself. So where does it go from here? Well, buckle up. Because the domino effect has only just begun. Other rookies are going to demand brand clauses. Agents are already using the Shedeur structure in closed-door meetings. Marketing teams across the league are reworking their entire playbooks. And somewhere in a stadium tunnel, Shedeur Sanders is probably smiling, knowing he didn't just flip the script. He wrote an entirely new one. And if you thought that was the end of it, nope. Because here's the thing about revolutions, they don't stay quiet. They don't plateau. They don't politely knock on the door of legacy institutions and ask for a seat at the table. No, they flip the table, start building their own, and dare you to catch up. And Shedeur Sanders? He's not knocking anymore. He's architecting a new future, brick by brick, clause by clause, post by post. And everyone from the commissioner's office to team owners to agents still stuck in a 2010 mindset is scrambling to figure out what page he's on only to realize he's writing a whole new playbook. So let's zoom out for a second and talk about the ripple effect. Because make no mistake, this isn't just a Shedeur story. This is an industry-altering moment. Let's start with rookie deals. For decades, rookie contracts were about control, salary slots, performance bonuses, franchise leverage. Players signed their name on the dotted line and waited their turn. Even top picks, guys with national buzz, were told to stay in line and focus on football. But now, every agent representing a college QB with a TikTok presence and a clean spiral is looking at Shedeur's prime equity clause and going, why aren't we doing that? Suddenly, the conversation isn't just about millions. It's about ownership, about brand rights, about cutting players in instead of cutting them out. And that terrifies people. Why? Because it means the traditional gatekeepers, the ones who've built generational wealth off athletes without sharing a real slice of the pie, might actually have to open the books. It means athletes will ask questions they weren't supposed to ask. How much does the team make off jersey sales? Who owns the footage being monetized on team-run content channels? Why is my face in every marketing campaign, but my check says rookie minimum? You can't sell team culture while players are making pennies off billion-dollar branding machines. And Shedeur just shoved that contradiction into the spotlight with a spotlight of his own. But let's not get it twisted. This isn't just business. It's bigger than football. Because whether the NFL wants to admit it or not, Shedeur's brand doesn't live in football. It uses football. It lives in fashion. It lives in music. It lives in youth culture. It lives in every reposted highlight on Instagram. Every kid who buys the jersey because they saw the behind-the-scenes vlog on YouTube. Every sneakerhead waiting for the next prime drop. And when that culture chooses someone, the league doesn't get to vote. They either get on board or get left behind. You think Nike doesn't know this? They built this strategy. From the moment Shedeur started making waves at Jackson State, Nike saw what was coming. Not just the skill, not just the swagger, but the symmetry. The perfect storm of talent, heritage, personality, and timing. So what did they do? They didn't wait until he made a Pro Bowl. They didn't wait until he led a playoff drive. They bet early. They bet big. And now, they're reaping the rewards before most of the league even realized a bet was being placed. Because, let's be honest, what Nike did here isn't just clever marketing. It's brand warfare. They didn't just sign Shedeur, they unleashed him. They gave him the tools, the platform, and the freedom to become something the NFL has never really seen. A player with the cultural weight of a top 5 quarterback before he's even started a game. You think that's a coincidence? You think $250 million in jersey sales happened because of a preseason TD? No way. It happened because Shedeur isn't just another athlete waiting for the spotlight. He is the spotlight. He understands timing. He understands image. He understands momentum. And the best part? He's doing it without the league's help. In fact, the league looks like it's just trying to keep up. One insider said it best. This is the first time in history a rookie's brand is bigger than the team's brand. And the team is just hoping they don't get in the way. That's the line. And it cuts deep. Because the Browns didn't create this hype. They just happened to be the logo on the helmet while it's happening. And that's the part that's going to keep GMs and owners up at night. What happens when the team is no longer the main event? What happens when a player walks in with a global brand and the franchise is just the temporary platform? That's the Shedeur blueprint. And it's already working. Let's fast forward, shall we? Imagine Shedeur gets the start by mid-season. Imagine he pulls off a primetime upset, drops 2 touchdowns and no picks, and flashes that post-game charisma that turns memes into movements. Imagine he does it his way, with swagger, with confidence, with a message behind every cleat, every quote, every caption. The sports world won't just react. It'll shift. Because suddenly, the team won't own the story. He will. And when that happens, you're looking at the first athlete in NFL history who could conceivably outgrow the league. Not by retiring, not by quitting, but by evolving beyond the limits of the traditional NFL box. He doesn't need the league to make headlines. He doesn't need approval to sell product. He doesn't need a 10-year vet's resume to dominate the culture. He already owns the algorithm. Now he's coming for the scoreboard. So what happens next? If the NFL is smart, it embraces this. It learns from it. It updates its playbook. Because if they don't, they risk becoming a league where the talent outpaces the infrastructure, where the faces that drive the money don't feel the need to play by 30-year-old rules written by guys who've never had to balance an endorsement deal, a content team, and a huddle. This is where sports are going. Branding isn't a bonus. It's a skill set. Monetization isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. And athletes like Shedeur Sanders? They're not anomalies. They're the prototype. So whether you love it, hate it, or don't know what to think yet, one thing's for sure. The business of football just changed forever. And the kid who did it? He's not even done warming up. Drop your thoughts below. Are we witnessing the rise of the next generational mogul athlete? Or is this empire being built too fast to last? And if you want more breakdowns, meltdowns, and cultural shifts the NFL would rather pretend aren't happening, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Because the Shedeur Sanders era isn't just beginning. It's rewriting the rules in real time.